Hello and welcome to another jungle champion guide, and in this one we shall be taking a good look at the resurgence of Ekko Jungle. That's right, the time manipulating boy genius is back after numerous buffs over the last couple of patches that have resulted in him being a very strong jungle pick, such that even the pros who are boot camping in Europe are using him extensively to get their climb going. Despite being considered slightly off meta recently, he has had a good win rate from the jungle. However, the Worlds patch will see nerfs to jungles like Gragas and Sejuani, so expect Ekko's popularity to continue to grow. We will be taking a brief overview of his abilities before discussing runes and items, how then this translates to his first clear, ability combos and ganks, and how to of course teamfight and carry games as you scale, so you can do things like this to enemies that are out of position. As always with these champion guides, please consider liking if you enjoy them and commenting below what champion you'd like to see next, and please subscribe to help us on the road to 100k subs, but of course only if you love the content. So just to give a brief overview of the abilities, we have our nice motion track scene here. The passive is of the casual 3-hit variety, giving you a boost of movement speed on champions or a boost of damage on monsters, and so that is important on your clear. Q is a weird skill shot, but nonetheless your max ability that has an expanding hitbox and does damage in both directions. This has some interesting interactions with combos that we will look at later in the video. W is the ability that just got buffed to have the stun time increased by half a second, and that is an eon in league time, but also grants an AP scaling shield and is a crucial part of Ekko's positioning and ganking tactics. E is pretty straightforward, a simple dash and blink that smashes the target with an empowered auto attack, and R is basically the best yikes ability in the game. Face check a bush with an army of Yordles, use your ult, steal a Drake and wanna leave? Press R. It's his outplay potential from this ability that makes him so fun and so devastating in teamfights because of the heal, the damage, and the fact that people fail to track his ghost in these fights, while you should be doing that just so you can end up nuking someone who is walking over your ghost. You can also activate your R on your W, which will trigger the stun, and that can lead to some big brain 5-man stun plays. Alright, so with that out of the way, we can sort of look at how this ties into runes and items, and then we can discuss how to use these abilities to take over games. Now, some champions we look at have about 3 or 4 runes that could work on them, some have one that is just the best one total. Ekko, he kind of fits into both categories. Electrocute is definitely his best option. He wants to get in as much damage in as short as window as possible. He is an assassin. However, the Ravenous Hunter for healing is very good considering he has a lot of single target abilities as well as synergizing with that ultimate. Because if you take out one, if you don't get a stun on 2 or 3 people, you're gonna want to look to go back into the fight and do the same thing all over again. He's got a lot of chase down potential with that 3-hit passive, the Q slowing people, the different combos you can do, and so having all that damage up front is what you want. This is why in solo queue you will see a lot of absolute focus and gathering the storm, and for most people and most MMRs, when they don't know how to close games, that just makes you get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. Because remember, the idea with Ekko, even in the jungle, is to reach that one shot, that assassin, that roaming status as soon as possible. And so like a Rengar, you might see people go for booties as well as futures market to help you. However, your items don't really fall into that cheap lethality build, and so getting yourself some more raw AP from your runes is a good idea. And that being said, I do want to acknowledge some alternative playstyles with Ekko that are possible given the nature of his abilities. One of those is Dark Harvest instead of the Electrocute, scaling up, getting as many stacks as possible. That's an assassin's dream, that's why Blue Cane likes it. However, you can also go with a precision secondary if you want a bit more tenacity, attack speed, utility from Triumph. And there is a player on EU West who is in Grandmaster, and he runs this rune page every single game, including buying a Nash's Tooth, which we'll talk about shortly. And the one I'm not going to go in depth into because it isn't really played that much but does have good win rates as seen on U.GG, and that is Conqueror, playing Ekko more like that AP Bruiser style as you would with Silas. However, definitely the first page is the standard Ekko solo queue assassin dominate the world page. So before we jump into first clears and combos and ganks, let's talk about the itemization. What is the goal for Ekko in the game in terms of spending? Obviously, when you have that E, you would like to have gap closes aplenty. Blue Smite slows down the target that can let you catch up if you need to close the gap. And for the same reason, and we'll see this in the combo section, people love to go Proto Belt, which not only adds a bit of damage, health, and AP, also provides that gap closer. Now, the rest of the build will be pretty standard. Lichbane, Sork Boots, Zhonya's, Decap, maybe Void if there's a lot of magic stacking. You can also go with Tenacity in the Merc Treads, given that Ekko dives in and can get CC'd, and if you get CC'd for too long, you won't be able to ult out, and you will just be squashed. And the Protobelt Lichbane is your core item spec, and if you're in the mid lane, definitely something that you will rush first and second. However, because we have the jungle item here, my personal preference has always been that you go for that Lich Bane second. That is an absolutely huge power spike, not only for your split pushing, tower platings, and assassinations, it also opens up the rest of your build to a little bit more utility and adaptability as necessary. Now, you will see a lot of people go Lich Bane into Morellos, not really thinking that, maybe you don't need Morellos, you kind of just want that Oblivion orb for the magic penetration. We have talked about this before, and I will link a video to the magic pen, flight versus percentage in the description below. But it's important to ask why you build items, and any little bit of magic resist on the enemy team can easily be circumnavigated with a Void Staff, so having position in your build for that is important. So if you don't need the Morello's passive, if you don't need that health whatsoever because you can maybe rush a Zhonya's third, then you have options for a Death Cap and a Void Staff in your build. However, the first build, the Protobelt Lich Bane Zhonya's, is what you will see most often, even in the jungle, but I feel that considering how powerful Lich Bane and Zhonya's can be on Ekko, the fact that you have the Blue Smite to help close the gap, you don't necessarily need that Protobelt in your combo rotation. Playstyle, preference, you decide. Two other important items I just want to talk about though. Banshee's Veil, very useful, just like Rengar with Edge of Night. If they have a lot of CC, you don't want to dive in and just die. That Banshee's Veil can protect you and give you enough time to get off your damage, get off your stun, and ult out of the situation. There are some players who love to rush Nash's Tooth because of Ekko's innate passive on the W that gives him stronger auto attacks, and the fact that he is reliant on hitting auto attacks in his combo and in the split push. So if you do like auto attacking and having a little bit more of an attack speed in your build, going Nash's Tooth before Lich Bane is an option. However, the two core pages I showed, and I'll show them again now, are what you will see most often and provide you the best option in your combos, your burst, and raw AP. But as always, please don't forget to adapt. And now we can talk about playstyles and combos and how you can actually utilize this champion to gain yourself some of that LP, which is no doubt waiting for you given his strong win rates. When you have enough buffs and when you can do a full first clear with no worries, that opens up a whole bunch of diversity to you. Now, a lot of people are going from red to Krugs to Raptors, as you can see, or perhaps red to Raptors to Krugs. Then you can gank on side lanes, look for scuttles, rotate to the top side. That's your quintessential route that a lot of people are going because of the lopsided nature of experience on the red to the blue side, and you'll see them speed running on screen now. But one of the more interesting ones is the one I talked about that I like to use my Ornn for, and that's starting on the blue buff, Gromp, Wolves, Raptors, Red. Now, that is almost a full clear to you. However, instead of going to the Krugs, because your clear is actually decent speed, if the enemy jungler is on that red side doing the 3 camps and then looking to gank, say like middle bottom in this example, that can also leave you freely available to go and invade their blue, steal their camps. You can even try and 1v1 the jungler if you have a favorable matchup. Ekko isn't the greatest 1v1 jungler. You do have to back out of situations sometimes. But because he can do a full first clear, he has a lot of different variations he can try to get himself either ahead in experience or getting that lane impact, repeat ganks and so on. As always, you need to pick one that is relevant to your MMR range as well as to your playstyle. If you like to gank, get 3, go look for ganks. And that's the power of Ekko's W, can be used as a zoning tool especially early. You put it in the right place, no one is going to be able to walk in that area. As soon as they cross into it and you walk into the radius of the circle, they get stunned. This either guarantees a flash or forces them back towards a fight that they might not want to take, and that can let you end up getting some free kills. So using your W and your E from a variety of unique angles, good pathing approaches is all you really need. You don't always need to hard hit your W stun, and so placing it intelligently is a sign of a good Ekko player. And you're seeing clips of ganks now, so you can have an idea of what angles to use, where to place your W. Feel free to watch the clips over again, see the approaches he's taking. Just remember that stun is 2.25 seconds. That's more than enough time for your team to unleash a full amount of damage to grab a kill. So if you can hit the stun, that's always great. And if you do burn a flash from it, make sure you repeat and abuse as always, while weaving in those good camp sequencing techniques, because Ekko wants to be ahead. When you are ahead with a kill or 2, plus an experience level or 2, you can be pretty unstoppable. And on that note, let's look at some very crucial combos you need to know to maximize Ekko's damage. The usual trading combo you will see is you E1, you E2. Once you've hit your target, you unleash that Q as soon as possible to guarantee maximum damage and that it hits, followed by an auto attack. That's very normal and you'll see it among most Ekko players. However, what a lot of Ekko players need to do, trading in lane, trading in ganks, trading in teamfights, is once you E1, you throw out your Q and then you E2. The Q should hit as your E2 lands, and this saves the cast time to after your blink to allow a much faster damage rotation. And why do people love Protobelt in the mid lane or even in the jungle? Because you can throw that Protobelt in to close the gap when you are further away from the target. E1, Pro to belt, make sure the rockets hit the enemy and then your E2 followed by your Q and an auto attack. Pretty straightforward. Now you can also do this even further away and add your flash into that rotation. Obviously these are slowed down so you can see what's happening, but in game when you get really proficient at doing them in team fights and ganks, your damage is going to be quite heavy. Remember, you can also use your Zhonya's in your W to give yourself some time, hit the stun. Additionally, you can also W, Zhonya's, and then R. Nice little rotation in a team fight. And finally, just a little note, if you're using your R to navigate within a team fight and not escape a situation, perhaps to do some nuke damage, you can E1, R, and then E2 on the target, followed by, of course, your AA, ignite your passive. You get all the damage off in a short burst of time, and that's what you're looking for. So you have a variety of tools available to you in the combos there to get off damage quickly, but how does this translate to your overall playstyle? Now remember, you are a scaling assassin. You have a relatively weak early game. You don't want to be too risky even in the jungle. That's why those full clears are so good. However, you cannot forget to have impact. In lane, you can sort of farm up a lot quicker, you can run TP, you can play safely. The jungle position, if you are AFK farming and chilling to scale, the enemy jungler might have had a greater lane impact, and now what are you gonna do? Your lanes are behind, yes, you've been farming, but the enemy jungler and their team is far ahead. Now, if that does happen, fortunately with Ekko, you have really good wave clear. That W, once you get enough AP, can clear waves very quickly. And as you hit that mid game, as you start to complete items, you get your Lich Bane, you can start to one-shot most squishies very easily, and you want to initiate those fights. You want to initiate skirmishes, anything that's around an objective, you want to do so by getting picks beforehand. Obviously, if you can land 3-man stuns on the enemy team and take 1 or 2 out at the same time, you do have your ultimate to keep you safe. But in that sense, it isn't very different to playing most assassins, Rengars, anything like that. The difference is Ekko has a unique way of getting around the fights and using his R to get back in to either do damage, to heal himself, or simply to escape after taking off a target. Depending on how your W lands, depending on the nature of the enemy team composition, I have made a detailed video on how to teamfight as an assassin. I will link that in the top right for you, but simply pick a squishy target that you want to annihilate from the map. Make sure the enemy frontline is focusing on your teammates. You do not want to get CC'd when you go in because you will not have time to ult out to safety. And if you are mostly ignored in a team fight, you can always use the ultimate, get back in, and basically nuke whoever's standing in the area. I just wanted to outline some of that in the team fighting sense, so you can keep it in mind. You can watch the assassin video. And if you know how to do the combos I talked about beforehand and do them quickly, you should have no issue taking out 2 or 3 people from a fight and also using your R for either safety, heal, or destruction. Don't forget to gank a lot in the early game. You are not the strongest early game assassin jungler, but you do have a strong ganking kit, and you have to keep in mind you want to get items and you want to get fed as soon as possible, and that doesn't happen by smashing Grump in the face. Obviously, dragons and heralds are all possible with Ekko, or he wouldn't be a very good jungler whatsoever, so make sure those are in your rotation as well. Hopefully the itemization runes and everything in this video gives you enough information to start dominating with Ekko while he is in this very good state. Thank you very much for watching. With Sylas also getting nerfed next patch, Ekko might be the go-to AP jungler aside from Elise in pro play and high elo play. Get your LP now. Please like, share, and comment if you did enjoy. I always like to try to get 1,000 likes, especially on the champion guides. Lets me know you want to see different champions and more of these videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the content and want more. And as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.